Hey, before we do anything else, we have to thank our sponsors, Smile Traveller, who have not only sent me to Barbados, which is very lovely, but also decked me out in this extremely fashionable cap.
Yeah, no, Smile aren't just good at making George look good, they're also specialists in worldwide sports travel. And this winter, they'll be taking England fans to the Caribbean for an exciting white ball series.
I think I have said before, but I have had some amazing experiences with them. I ended up in Gordon Greenwich's house where he cooked for us and served lots of drinks and told us stories about his career and things like that is what they're really, really good at. That's a sort of point of difference. So, I am clearly being paid to say this, but even if I wasn't, I would wholeheartedly endorse them. They're really good people and very reliable. A lot of fun.
Well, as part of the trip, you'll get the chance to meet and greet some of those famous West Indies and some England cricketers of yesteryear at some private events. You'll stay in the comfort of carefully selected hotels. All of your travel will be taken care of, and there'll be dedicated tour managers to ensure everything runs smoothly. So you've got nothing to worry about.
And I think there's a link under the video where you'll be able to click on it and get deals. And maybe even get a hat a little bit like this. That's the dream.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Ask George as we preview England's T20 World Cup title defence in the Caribbean with George Dobell. We're going to be asking, is it coming home? Will Matthew Mott take the handbrake off? And have England picked too many players, injured players? I think I've got the right sport there. George, you're in Barbados. Firstly, give us a bit of flavour, give us a bit of colour. What's it like? How cold is it?
It's humid as hell, actually. It's lovely. It's gorgeous. This is paradise. I feel very, very lucky to be here. If you want to feel better, because you can't get here, there's a lot of Saragossa seaweed here right now. So the seaweed isn't that lovely blue that it normally is. It's a wee bit brownish, and it's rained a fair bit. But I'm saying this to make you feel better. I mean, I feel bad about it. I'm very lucky. This is if you love cricket and sunshine and rum, this is paradise. I mean, I can't think of anywhere I go which I like more. It's absolutely lovely, and it's a brilliant place to watch cricket. So yeah, sorry, that all sounded a bit smug, but really looking forward to it, to be honest. And for what it's worth, I think England look really good. Do you want to ask the questions, or do you just want me to ramble? But they do. They look good in training to me.
Yeah, no, well, we do pay you extra for the smugness, so that's perfectly fine. Let's kick off with the questions because ultimately that's what people are here for. Hattie White's going to kick us off with a question: do England really stand a chance, and are they pinning too much pressure and expectation on Jofra?
Hello, Hattie. Nice to hear from you. Yeah, they definitely stand a chance. I really think they do. I think there are 4 or 5 sides that could win it, and they're one of them. And for lots of reasons, and one of those reasons is Jofra. I mean, are they putting a lot of pressure on him? Sure they are. He's a special cricketer and he's going to bowl the toughest overs. What does he bowl? Over 2 and 6, 19 or 20 and one other. The toughest overs in the innings. And he does that because he's brilliant. So I don't think it's, more pressure than he can handle. Obviously, we're a bit worried about his physicality. But no, I think he is one of the key reasons why I think they do have a genuine chance of defending their title. The other key thing that's made it all fit together is Chris Jordan coming back in and relishing bowling those death overs. And because those two have those positions resolved, everyone else is kind of able to fit in quite neatly and in the roles which best suit them. So I think that they are viable challengers. I'm not saying that, when they come up against Australia and India, they're not going to be favourites. Those 2 sides are probably the ones to beat. I think South Africa are dangerous, West Indies are dangerous, but I think England can win it. Yeah, I'd be disappointed if they didn't make the semi-finals. And after that, you're in the lap of the gods a wee bit, aren't you?
You've been to a few of these tournaments, these campaigns, including 2 that England won. How does your feeling before this tournament compare to those, particularly the successful ones, I guess?
2010 was really different. 2010, though, England had a really strong batting lineup, a dangerous batting lineup. And if you remember, KP had a brilliant tournament.
Yeah.
But they had just put the side together. Keyswetter came in and Lunn came in as openers. and they dropped Anderson and brought in Sidebottom. So it's a Sidebottom Broad, and Yard he played, and all sorts of changes that were made quite late. And so I didn't see that coming. I think they lost their opening game as well. So I didn't see that coming, but they played very well. The quickest wickets I've ever seen. Honestly, the wicket here in 2010, people will be able to look up a game where Dwayne Bravo, I think, bounced out India. It was like lightning here. And I think Sean Tate bowled best part of 100 miles an hour in the final. KP hit him for a 6 over extra coverish. Oh, it was high quality. It was terrific, terrific stuff. So I didn't see that coming. And if I'm honest, I didn't really see it coming in 2022 either. In that, England going to the Caribbean and Australia and winning in these sorts of tournaments is unheard of. So they did brilliantly, and it fitted together very well. Again, they didn't have a settled formula in 22 in Australia, but Sam Curran played particularly well, and they found a way to win. Maybe Australia in that tournament were a bit unlucky with the weather. That could be a factor here. It does rain a lot here. You don't get this greenery without a lot of rain. And but actually, going into it, despite all the lack of preparation, this England side look absolutely as good as those sides. That's strong, isn't it? But that top 5 for England is daunting. And that bowling lineup with Jofra back, seam attack looks sharp and has teeth. The spin attack is super. Or certainly has depth in it. Adil Rashid's obviously a world-class bowler. They've definitely got a chance.
Can I ask you an uncomfortable one about Ben Stokes? England went into the 2019 World Cup. They were at home. They were the favourites. They won number 1. They had Jofra, and they needed Stokes to get them out of a hole in the final. In Melbourne, they had Adil Rashid. They had a very similar looking batting lineup to the one they've got now, and they needed Stokes to, win them the game at the MCG. Maybe someone else does it, but he did it right. Why should we view it differently on this occasion, and why is that not as much of a problem on this occasion?
Well, it is. No, he's definitely a loss. Those are the reasons I would have picked him, and I think there are legit reasons for thinking it isn't the end of the world that he hasn't come, because it's given them clarity. But he's a fantastic player, and you're right that he adds something more than just ability. He's very calm in those pressure moments, he believes in himself. He gets them over the line when others might buckle. So they have to stand up and do that instead of him, and it's definitely a loss. I think the point you make is very reasonable. Sometimes, what's that expression? Other plants fail to flourish under the leaves of the biggest trees. Maybe other players will stand up, I probably can come up with better analogies than that, no doubt. Not mangle the words quite so much, but I do think there's quite a lot of experience here. There's quite a lot of players who have done very well in the IPL, for example. Even recently, the top 4 in this England side all had really good moments in the IPL, and Brooke would have been there too had it not been for bereavement. So I think there's quite a lot of... it's not as if they haven't been in those difficult positions. It's not as if we haven't seen Johnny Bairstow turn matches, Joss Butler, obviously. I think they look confident and hungry. The younger players, Jackson, Salt. I think they'll be the sort who can step up in those situations. But let's see. I mean, teams have to change and evolve, and you can't keep going back to Ben Stokes. Other players have to do it as well, and I think they've got a chance. But it'll be really interesting to see in those pressure games. If they get to effectively knockout games later in the tournament. You're right. That's when we'll know how much they miss Ben Stokes.
Well, enough questions from me. Let's move on to some more reader questions, and one from Politics and Cricket on the sort of balance of the 11. Will there be space for Ben Duckett in the middle order in case Johnny Bairstow fails to perform in some matches? I guess matchup-wise, there might be a case for Duckett at some points in terms of picking courses for courses, but how do you see that element of the team?
I don't see him playing very much. I'd be surprised. Look, they maybe have surprises in store for us, but I see Ben Duckett as the spare batter, and I think there's every chance he'll get through the tournament without playing a game. If you've got Johnny Bairstow or whoever else coming in and in the middle order, which isn't easy, and you want them to go all out immediately, you're going to have to accept they're going to fail sometimes. And yeah, I mean, we know that Johnny hasn't had the best 18 months or so, but he did score 100 in the IPL fairly recently. And I don't see that position as hugely fragile. Maybe he's got questions to answer at the end of the tournament, but yeah, Ben Duckett's the spare batter. I can see why. I think he's surprisingly good in the field for a diminutive fella. I think he's actually become a bit of a leader on and off the pitch. I think he'd do fine if he got an opportunity, and the great thing is he could bat anyway. What is it, 9 games? Someone's going to get a bruised knee or broken finger at some stage. Maybe he'll get an opportunity that way. He's here as the replacement and spare.
So do you think England will go a different way around the left-handed thing, maybe promoting, Moeen or Sam Curran, I guess, who are, perfectly adept at batting high up if they need to kind of mix things up in that regard?
I think it'll be Moeen, because I think Moeen's going to be in the side more often than Sam Curran. And yes, there is the option to go up the order against spinners, but several of those players, they have the ability to hit almost 360 degrees anyway. So, if you're a right-hander and you can still reverse it through point or whatever, as Jacks and Salt and Butler all can, I don't know that it is as big an issue. Look, it puts a bit of pressure on the bowling side, particularly when you've got the clock counting down all the time. The fields have to change. That's not irrelevant, but you've still got to play your best side. And Duckett isn't getting in straight away, but they have the option. Moeen has opened. He's gone in at 3. He's done every role you can think of really in international cricket, hasn't he? Apart from keep wicket. And that's what he'll continue to do. He's got an odd floating role in this side, bat and ball. You can expect him to do something almost any stage across the tournament.
Back to our questions now. And Rumble Pants, he enters the chat. Are T20 World Cups too frequent to be meaningful?
I think a lot of people would agree with that. I think a lot of people, we're brought up on the idea of a World Cup every 4 years. I'm not sure I do. I mean, we've had a bit of a glut of them for one reason or another, not least COVID and also the lack of space in the fixtures. I mean, it feels special to me, but I'm a bit of a geek, and also I'm here. So I'm really excited by it. So maybe I'm not the perfect person to ask here. The other thing is, what would happen if it wasn't on? International cricket is under a wee bit of pressure, and this hole in the calendar would just be filled with franchise cricket, mainly. I mean, the hundreds on as well. But there would be a lot of T20 cricket going on in the world, and this is an opportunity for 20 sides. This is a big deal for a lot of sides that haven't been in the international spotlight before. So I think it's really important, and I'm relishing it. And I take the point, and there's clearly a very fair point there. But it will settle down the schedule. And while there's still going to be issues, I can't remember what happens in the Olympic year, for example. It's not ideal how much cricket there is, but I would hate to see international cricket cut to make more space for franchise cricket. I think it matters. I think it's a big deal for the cricketers of, Oman and Namibia and Uganda and whoever else you want to mention. And if we've got blasé about it, I don't know, aren't we lucky? I think it's going to be a real feast of cricket. I really do.
Sushant asks, how grim is the thought of Australia holding all 3 major international trophies?
Yeah, I mean, the political answer that I should give is, it just shows what a fantastic cricketing culture they are. And that's absolutely true, because it's not just the men's competition, it's the women's competition. I mean, Australia are a cricketing superpower. The honest answer is, imagine how unbearable they'd be. So, yeah, they're really, really good at cricket, and the Ashes Trophy as well they have. So, that's an incentive to try and beat them, isn't it? For what it's worth, I remember this very ground, England beating Australia in a World Cup final, a T20 World Cup or whatever it was called then. And, maybe that'll happen again. England did just win the last one in Australia, which must have been quite painful. But you look, I think I've said before, the basic standard of cricket in Australia is higher than it is in England, and probably higher than it is anywhere else. Maybe not. Maybe India's the same, but it's a fantastic cricketing culture. And although it pains me deeply to admit it, there's probably lots that could be learned from it.
And just finally, just before we sign off, obviously this is the first of several videos we'll be producing after each of England's matches at the tournament, and we're looking forward to the final as well. What's the thing that, apart from England, what's the thing that you're sort of most looking forward to, I guess, over the next 4 weeks?
From the tournament, or from this trip? I mean, I
take it as you will.
Genuinely, you never know. I remember the first time I came here. Okay, honestly, it was before the 2007 World Cup. I think it was 2006, and it was love at first sight. Unbelievable. When a very, very bumpy trip, the worst I've ever had, actually. Horrible turbulence. One of my colleagues asked the cabin crew to ask the pilot to turn around. It was nasty. You know, when you look at the cabin crew, and if they're calm, it's okay. One of them cried. It was bad. Okay, so eventually the clouds cleared, and I saw that turquoise sea for the first time. Love at first sight, I promise you. And it's such a wonderful trip. And cricket's still so important here that it matters, you know, everyone you meet. And I'll probably do a game or two. I'll probably cover a game or two from a rum shop, which is a very good idea of yours. Inspirational editor, guilty as charged. I
always come up with the tough jobs.
So I'm looking forward to being here for a bit. So I want to live here. You know, this is my ideal place in the world, and to go around the Caribbean islands. I don't get to go to America, but because England aren't playing there, and watch cricket and see the best players in the world playing is a proper joy. So, but it is a particularly easy, nice place to come. I mean, I couldn't recommend it more as a holiday destination, really. But it's so much more than that. It's so all sorts of things. I mean, as I say, the sea's got a lot of seaweed in it, but that will probably be a good thing for me. It'll make me work harder rather than go for a swim every morning or whatever. But in terms of the cricketing stuff, particularly, England are a really exciting side to watch in every format right now. But when you have Mark Wood and Jofra Archer bowling thunderbolts, when you've got Adil Rashid bowling leggies, when you've got that top five, this is just such a glorious side to watch and report upon. And it hasn't always been this way, you know. So it's a proper joy to do it, and it's a T20. I can only work 3 or 4 hours a day. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the rest of the time it's just being smug.
No, I'm trying. I don't mean to be, but it's 5 hours ahead, isn't it, in the UK? And so by the time it's 6 o'clock here, you're going to bed. You don't give a damn what I do, as long as I'm up bright and early. So there's a lot of freedom that comes with working here as well. But no, genuinely, if you get the chance to come to these places, to Barbados and Antigua, I think in particular, it's a wonderful place to watch cricket. It really is, because as I say, it still matters. Very friendly, very safe, and brilliant places to go. You know, whether you want to go to the beach or whatever. But honestly, if you are just about to come to Barbados, I'd go to the museum at the Garrison, where George Washington was so impressed that he wrote down what later became the Declaration of Independence. It was from the Treaty of Ostends, getting a bit geeky now, but it's proper inspiring stuff. I mean, the Barbados, actually one of the cradles of democracy, included the expression, no taxation without representation. That comes from Barbados. And incredible history, some of it obviously horrendous, but very, very interesting, and as friendly and paradisical place as I think I've ever been.